Good morning, everyone.
Hello.
So we're back in this. We're finally getting some nice weather out there.
Wow,
Boy,
that is...
I tell you. So hey, anything that we say is not meant to diagnose you. It's just meant to educate you and to do, so you can do further research.
Food for thought.
And but before taking any advice, just check with your medical professional, your competent medical professional.
Right.
All right, guys. I mean, what's going on lately? We have the summit coming up. It's pretty exciting.
It's very exciting.
We released a video on the that was a little cheesy. A cheesy video.
And another word I had no idea was so popular. Cringy.
Cringy, yeah.
Cringe. The cringe. Now, we should let them know that these younger people, right, made this, and Dr. Berg did a spot appearance at the end. He's not writing these songs. You can't take credit for the rap or directing or producing this video. And so, don't think Dr. Berg's now going into writing cringy rap. I thought it was really funny. Agreed on the pit, the avocado pit. But
well,
you know what? It was funny.
It was funny.
Catchy
if you like
tune.
that type of humor, no.
Catchy tune.
We're going to actually just read some of the comments because I think the comments were equally as funny.
Oh, let me see.
Like one comment was, "Nobody prepared me for this."
Yeah.
And if any of you are wondering like what we're talking about, there's a video I released. It's called the Keto Rap Song. You can look it up. Here's another comment. Can somebody be so? It's amazing how somebody could be. Wait a second. I didn't.
Can you?
It can be so cringy yet totally awesome at the same time.
Yeah, I feel uncomfortable watching this. We should have both of us on this shot here, Steve.
You just read it.
Okay.
Read what we got.
Okay, good. The one thing I will say is most everybody loves the chorus, writing the chorus. And what is it?
No carb.
No
carb.
No carb.
High fat. Moderate protein. At least we're going to program that into people. Like
right.
Eventually they're going to remember it. It's really hard to remember. So it's a
some
good
people
jingle.
thought it was great, and some people thought it was beneath you, an integrity issue. Look, it was just funny. It was a goof, and it got a lot of attention, and apparently the little jingle is stuck in everybody's head, which isn't bad.
Mostly good attention.
Mostly good attention.
Well, I tell you what.
But you can rest assured that Dr. Berg's not going into the rap business.
I'm not. It's my future. I will be going into rap. I'm going to actually come up with a new rap song. Of course,
You didn't come up with that rap song.
Okay, I didn't, but I was going to take credit.
And the girls neither of the girls are his daughters. I would know that. I mean, I probably would have been there.
Oh yeah, about that, Karen. Now that we're on live air, we'll confess.
Oh boy!
I'm going to go to Tori. You look for some good social media questions.
Okay,
just
I'm going to
good
give you
ones.
the.
And I'm going to go to Tori,
okay.
Seattle, Washington. Hey, Tori.
Hi.
Hi. What's your question?
Thank you so much for taking my call.
Oh, you're welcome.
I really admire you and just appreciate all of your work and research. I have had a lot of progress following you since July of last year. But real briefly, I have type 1 diabetes, celiac,
type 2.
and a history of Hashimoto's.
Okay.
I also have no gallbladder. So I've been following healthy keto and intermittent fasting. I have the book. Have
Good.
a ton of your supplements. I take electrolytes, vitamin D, the apple cider vinegar supplement. I just got wheatgrass, and I try to take nutritional yeast. I kind of struggle actually with taking those. But I've plateaued on weight, and I've started losing hair and having fatigue again. And I'm also struggling to keep my blood sugars steady, especially after I have a hypoglycemic incident. And I've gotten to where I recognize that I can't do hardcore exercise because it actually shoots my blood sugar like out the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I've had type 1 diabetes, insulin dependent for 32 years. I watched your video on nicotinamide
Yeah.
and that helping type 1 diabetics, and your suggestion to consider 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams. But in searching, for, looking a little bit more into it, I'm having trouble finding a good source for that. Maybe a brand. The only thing I could find through Standard Process, which I know you recommend frequently, is like 50 milligrams.
Right.
And I didn't know if there was a particular version. I've seen riboside. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. I wanted to make sure that was the correct form. And it's usually listed as niacin, and I didn't know if that was the same thing. I was hoping you could provide a source and any tips for that rundown.
Okay, good. So let's talk about that. A couple things I want to mention, and this actually aligns with what I was going to talk about a little bit later, so you don't want to leave. You guys want to stick around. We're going to talk about autoimmune stuff. And when we talk about type 1 diabetes, that is usually autoimmune most of the time. And so we're going to talk about some, just to make it really simple, the mechanism and some really good tips on what you should do. That being said, you've been a type 1 for a long time. The diet for type 2 is exactly the same as type 1 because you're trying to decrease the need for insulin that you're basically injecting, because too much insulin creates problems. We know that you don't have enough, but there's some things I want to tell you about. Because you have Hashimoto's, which is autoimmune, and diabetes type 1, which is autoimmune. I'll talk about this more later, but one of the types of things you should research is lectins, not lecithin or leptin, lectins. Lectins are protein molecules that plants have developed as a protective mechanism, because if plants can't run away. They're just from being eaten like other animals and things like that. So they're stuck there. So they have millions of years of time to create chemicals in their chemical factory to, protect themselves against insects and humans and animals, which basically we're kind of like a big insect, right? So
Speak for yourself.
And it takes, so, when you consume certain plants and seeds and nuts or legumes, whatever, or grains, which you're not going to do if you're on keto, it may not affect you unless you're sensitive, but over time, it can build up in your body and affect you. And so a little bit later, I'm going to talk about what foods to avoid. But lectins is what you need to look at to minimize damage control, to improve your immune system, to lessen the autoimmune situation. Now, as far as the source of nicotinamide, which is a type of B3, which, there's different types. You have niacin, there's other types. Each one has unique targeting effects. Nicotinamide handles pellagra.
What's pellagra?
Which is a B3 deficiency, which affects your skin, your brain, your digestive system. And also, it helps the cardiovascular system and arthritis. So it's good for all those. So the best source of that B3 is liver. So you want to do a grass-fed liver.
Do you think I'm listening?
No.
I'm very sorry.
I'd like to talk to someone.
Every once in a while, I realize you're looking at me, and I'm so busy.
Every once in a while, she realizes I'm talking. But fish like salmon, high quality grass-fed liver will give you the vitamin B3 complex that you need. Actually, not the complex, but all the different B vitamins, including niacinamide, that version. So that's what I would recommend for you. Now you're struggling with your blood sugars. I think you just have to give it more time because and follow what I recommend, because over time you are going to improve. And if you decrease not lecithin, lectins, that will actually take the edge off your immune system. But stay tuned, we'll talk about that more. All right, thanks, Tori. All right, Judy, you're from Montana. You had a question, are you there?
Hey.
Hi.
I just love you guys. Seriously, you've changed my life in this realm of keto, and I can't thank you enough. In fact, I was just sitting here almost in tears because I have SIBO,
Okay.
But here's the deal. I was operated on, and they took out my idiosyncral valve, and they misdiagnosed me. I should have sued. I didn't. But anyways, 6 years of being so bloated that I'm 6 months pregnant looking. And after being on keto and following I'm doing healthy keto, been on it for just 2 months. I haven't lost any weight, but inches. And my question is, what do I do for, not having this idiosyncral valve? Let me back up and tell you what I am doing. I am doing garlic, oregano, berberine, neem, things like that, and of course, naturally, the healthy keto. But what would you recommend that I could do without that valve?
Yeah. Well, they do have some spare valves at the hardware store down the street. You could get them repaired. They have metal, plastic. They have all sorts of ones. But here's a couple
Dr.
things.
Berg.
For those of you that don't know what the ileocecal valve is, it's a valve that connects the small intestine from the large intestine. It's on the lower right side, on the lower part of your abdomen. And that valve is important to make sure that the microbes don't back up, because we want most of the microbes in the large intestine, 12 feet, that's the last part. And then you got like 20-something odd feet, 23 feet, whatever, in your small intestine. So we want to keep those separate. So you don't have that valve. So you get some backup with the SIBO. So I'm so glad that you did keto, because that's going to decrease inflammation. And the real key thing is the intermittent fasting for you, because we want to be able to clear out that digestive tract and give it a chance to heal, especially since you've had such a history of intestinal stuff. You just have to be careful of what fibers that you consume. You have to kind of play around with the different, make sure you don't do too much fiber. I think that can irritate you. But here's my tip of the day, and I don't have a video on this. Maybe I should do one. You want to do manual massage to your colon. Okay, now you're probably going, what are you talking about, manual massage? Well, you just basically take your hands and start manipulating, massaging the areas that are in knots or tight or bloated. And if you actually get a picture of how the intestines travel, like where the ileocecal valve is and how it goes ascending and then transverse across and down, and start following that pathway with your hands with massage and work that out a few times a day, I think that'll give you the most relief, because you don't have a valve. So you're going to have to manually kind of keep things flowing in the right direction. So intermittent fasting and basically manual type work. That's what I would recommend, Karen. Do you actually know what I said? That's fine.
You said something about massage, and I thought, I think, was that in the stomach?
Right.
Stomach massage.
That's
I
okay.
think
That's okay.
if you
I'm
massage
putting
the
this back.
back, I think that the body really relaxes, and I think
Okay,
that
good.
you should practice that.
Well, thank you, Judy. Appreciate the question. All right, Karen, we're going to go right to a social media question.
Good. Well, first, Steve is hovering. First, I wanted to say I haven't done this in weeks. I'm going to shout out. We got Rhode Island, the UK, Cyprus, South America, Canada, Turkey, Malaysia, all over the United States, Belgium, Canada, which I said twice, Serbia, United Arab Emirates, and that's just off of YouTube. Haven't gotten to Facebook yet, but that's a lot. That's a lot
awesome.
of the world.
Welcome.
Yes, it's
Welcome
so
world.
much fun. And I'm also going to say that at least on YouTube, because I'm doing this,
Yeah?
loving the video suggestions that you do go into the wrap business. And someone asked what the jingle was, and I think that we should do it right now.
Go
Ready?
ahead. You do it.
No, we'll do it
No,
together.
no,
Ready?
no. You
Come
do
on.
it. No carb.
No carb. High fat. Moderate protein. No carb. High fat.
Right.
No carb. High fat.
Good. You're good. You got to watch it, guys. You have to watch it.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Now I do have questions here.
Yeah, go ahead.
To. So what metabolic issues will someone see if they have high insulin. So say they have this standard American diet and they're having all kinds of body problems and they don't know, like we hear every single week, well, I have high cholesterol, can I do keto? Oh, I have blood pressure problems, can I do keto? I have heart issues, can I do keto? I have this, I have autoimmune, can I do keto? I have PCOS, can I do keto? I'm tall, I'm short, I'm all these things. So can you just speak on that metabolic issue and high insulin with this standard American diet so people really get the tie?
Yeah, because you have metabolic issues, you have syndrome X, metabolic syndrome. Maybe that's what you're talking about, metabolic syndrome?
Well, just, I mean, lots and lots of questions that end up being this metabolic issues, cholesterol, blood pressure.
Yeah, so let me just touch on that. So you have this, so out of all the things that are at the root cause, okay, of health conditions, insulin, high insulin is the top on the food chain, and I've done a lot of videos on this, and I didn't just come up with this, I've researched extensively, and it keeps coming up over and over and over. If you research high insulin, you're going to find like a lot of interesting data that's connected to so many health conditions. The top reasons why people die: heart disease. There's even cancer. There's also high blood pressure, diabetes. Now you're saying, well, wait a second. I thought diabetes was not enough insulin. Well, that's type 1. The common type diabetes is type 2, and that's high insulin and high blood sugars. But you know what? Rarely does anyone ever test high insulin. So, and you have this another associated problem called insulin resistance, which basically, if you think about it, if I'm talking to Karen right now, okay, and she's ignoring me, just ignore me, and I'm trying to get her attention, and I'm getting her attention. If she's ignoring me because she has earplugs in, I'm going to shout at her and say, Karen, Karen. That's the high insulin. That's the hormone thing, because it's not getting any feedback of a good acknowledgement to let me know that you're actually listening. So,
That never happens.
so basically, when she acknowledged me, I stopped talking. Well, when you have the whole endocrine system, if you have a hormone that's too high, you have like this resistant receptor that's not receiving, and so there's no feedback loop. So all the metabolic syndrome problems are, and if we just say, like the top ones are heart, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. Those are the biggies. And then all the different connected problems that relate to that, like even a fatty liver, for example. Alzheimer's.
Eye vision problems.
Yeah, the 4 areas that high insulin targets, and also high sugar as well, because insulin's following the high sugar. So number 1, it's the brain and nervous system. So you're gonna be have all sorts of brain-related problems: Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, brain fog, and I can't remember the other one, dementia. I was just kidding. And then neurological problems. The fingertips, the bottom of the toes, they start getting numb, and then you eventually end up gangrene, and then you lose your toes and your fingers and your feet and your legs and everything else because it starts to break down. The vision, you start having problems with the optic nerve, the retina, glaucoma, which is pressure, also the cataracts, which affect the lens, opaque. So there's all these problems with the eye, and then you have the heart, the blood vessel. So just think about insulin as a rusting thing. It rusts out the body. The body tries to heal it with cholesterol and calcium, and then it plaques it up, and you get plaquing, and then you get a stroke and a heart attack. So if you just lower insulin, you solve so many problems. Now, how do we know that's true? Well, all you do, as an experiment, you can just go on healthy keto and intermittent fasting, the 2 powerful actions that lower insulin, and just watch what happens to your body. You're going to notice all sorts of things will clear up. But we always recommend the healthy version of keto.
Right.
It's called
I was just
healthy
going to
keto.
ask you that.
In
The
this
difference
book.
between keto and healthy keto, because, I was watching, I was really annoyed yesterday.
Dr. Oz.
I wasn't going to give him any kudos. I wasn't even going to say the name. Someone who will not be mentioned went on a channel that will be nameless and started to talk about the dangers of the keto diet. And then there was a really cool video done by Frank, I forget his last name.
Stefano.
Young guy.
Stefano.
And totally took this other doc to the bank. I mean, knew his research, knew. So this one guy is saying, oh, this research says blah, blah, blah. And then Frank is like, did you read the research? It's totally misinformation. Anyway, so there's obviously keto, and then someone chimed in, I had a headache the entire time I was on keto. So there's keto out there. A lot of people jumping on the bandwagon to push keto things, and keto everything. And then there's healthy keto. So yes, you have to get this book. You have to get the books and understand, but please differentiate in a really concise way. What is the difference between keto and healthy keto in 10 seconds or less?
Well, there's basically this battle between like, don't do keto, do the SAD diet, or do my diet, whatever. The version that we're recommending is just the healthy version. It's like you're satisfying all the nutrients. You're doing vegetables, but you're not doing potatoes. You're not doing refined carbs. And so when anyone criticizes keto, they're using the version that they used way back when they did the traditional keto, which is very low quality ingredients. You're using whether Crisco or bacon fat or lard, whatever, and that's basically what you're doing, and you're not eating any vegetables. And so that's what they're stereotyping and emphasizing, which is total bull, because no one's doing that right now. The
studies are based on high carb.
The study
Really?
it wasn't even a study. It was going to be a study. It'll never be a study. The link between keto or low carb and which it was actually high carbohydrate.
It was high carbohydrate.
Yeah, I just did
that they were calling low carbohydrate.
Yeah.
You have to understand. Even my hairdresser yesterday was like, well, what do I eat for breakfast? I said, I have an egg, and she's like, but without the yolk, right? I was like,
it's called fat phobia.
They did such a great job for decades, really, marketing this, and then look at us as a nation, and as a world. I mean, you were talking about the countries that have the highest rate of diabetes.
Well, why don't I
what
bring
percentage?
it up right now?
Bring it up.
Okay, so guys, this is interesting. We've already tried the low-fat diet. We've already tried the low-calorie diet for decades. We know it doesn't work. But I just released this video. Mexico ranks number one for the number one cause of death is diabetes in their country. Okay, they have 13 million people with diabetes. It's 14.8% of their entire population. Saudi Arabia, they might only have 3.8 million people that have diabetes, but that's 18.5% of the entire population. So they have the highest percentage per capita of people who have diabetes. The US has 30 million people with 94 million pre-diabetic, and we have like 9.4%.
Now, when did that start?
I think this is a lot lower than normal. Let me finish.
Okay.
China has 150 million, so they rank number one for the most total people per country. Okay, so it's not the percentage, it's just the number of people who have it.
A lot of people.
11.8%. Okay, lower percentage, but they have like 150 million people have diabetes. This is all unnecessary. India, 69 million, that's 7.3% of their population. The point is, just think about the simplicity of it. What is diabetes? It's a disease of high sugar. It's not even a disease. It's a body's failure to adapt to blood sugar, so you have high sugar. So why in the world would you want to add more sugar and carb to the diet? That's what I'm going to try to figure out, and it's insane. All they have to do is cut out the sugar, but the experts are recommending more carbs.
Well, and if you listen to Dr. I'm not going to mention, he made a really funny point that people are more cranky on the keto diet, which we know is the exact opposite. You guys know it's the exact opposite. You're not cranky. I listened to that and I thought, wow, because you can sit on a couch and say absolutely anything. And here's somebody who just markets anything that's going to bring a buck and get him funding, I think. Anyway, that's my rant, and I'm done.
Thank you. Okay, Rhonda, you've been waiting patiently. You're from Missouri. Go ahead. What was your question?
Hi, Dr. Berg and Karen.
Hi.
I actually have a pretty simple question. You have said in these programs that we can lose at most 8 pounds of fat a month. And I want to know, is that including if we exercise? If I were to up my exercise, I'm just going to exaggerate it to make a point. Say I walked 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
Could I potentially lose more than 8 pounds a month?
This is a really good question, and I want to answer it kind of quickly, but it's kind of a long answer, so I'm going to do the quick version because it's, I know a guy that did The Biggest Loser, okay, and they were exercising 8 hours a day, okay. Now, if you calculate in the amount of calories that they're burning and the calories that they're eating, it was like, he was on like 1,200 or 1,500 calories per day, yet 8 hours of exercise. He should be losing close to 15 pounds a week, okay, with that much exercise. But there are weeks he was only losing 1 to 2 pounds. How do you explain that? What happens is the body will then, ideally, on most people, the most you can lose is 2 pounds. If you add exercise, maybe it's a little bit more. You just have to experience. But what happens is this: as you're losing weight and you're exercising, you're burning up your stored glycogen, and your body can then make more, and then your blood sugars might drop. And the more important thing to focus on is the type of calories that you're consuming and the effect that it has on your fat-burning hormones. So if you go low carb, okay, and you don't go crazy with the fats, but you have some fats and moderate protein, what will happen is hormonally, you'll burn the most fat with that combination. If your carbs are too high, your body will not let you tap into your own fat. So you're going to be tapping out your stored sugar. Now you're going to be really starving and forced to snack and eat. So the key is not necessarily the calories, but your metabolism and insulin. That's really the key. But to answer your question without going too deep, it's about 2 pounds a week for a healthy person. Could it be more with exercise? Yes, it could be. Could it? Not necessarily, though, according to what we're experiencing. Thanks, Rhonda. All right, and then Karen, we're going to give you a question on, do you have one on social media?
Sure, lots of them.
Go ahead.
So what could the keto diet do for someone with a low sperm count trying to balance things out again?
Well, first of all, we know that high insulin makes both women and men infertile. So
say that again.
When you actually do high carb, okay, and you have high insulin, like even like in a diabetic, for example, your fertility goes down the drain, so you're no longer fertile. Okay, so even like let's just take for example PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. They have a problem with high androgens. Okay, where's that coming from? That's coming from high insulin. Insulin is converting to androgens, so that high insulin is making them infertile.
Interesting.
So what can you do? Go on keto, intermittent fasting. You'll actually, so many people become more fertile, and women get pregnant. The other thing is, like, you want to make sure you do nutrient-dense foods and don't go low fat. Go healthy fat and sufficient amounts of fat. There is going to be a speaker that's not advertised yet that's coming to our summit who's going to talk about PCOS and fertility with women. It's going to be very interesting too. But as far as sperm count, no, it's a surprise. So, yeah, with sperm count, it has a lot to do with hormones and eating healthy, and it's not just one thing. You know, your amount of vitamin E, vitamin C, and trace minerals like zinc also will help. Okay?
Okay, good.
All right, so now we're going to go to Mayada from Canada. Mada.
Hello, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
Hi. Hello, Karen.
Hi.
Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really love you guys, and you have changed a lot in my life and my husband's as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, Dr. Berg, because I love keto, I enrolled in the coaching program, and I'm almost halfway to finish it.
That's
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was a pre-diabetic person, and I almost hit 8, and I was able to reverse it into 4.9. and that's amazing.
Wow, that's huge, going
But
from 8
yes,
A1C.
yeah. So my problem, I mean, my husband's problem started on last month. He followed me with my keto. He started on September, and his numbers was like 11 plus, 12, and plus. So he started gradually to get to lower the medication, and he was having. I mean, he used to have like 2 pills from Genument and 2 pills from Diametron. And on 1st of January, we were able to reduce it into 1 pill per day for Genument and half pill for Diametron.
Great.
And he was doing fine. The numbers went down to 6 point something,
Good.
and it was really great. So I just advised him to stop having the Diametron. You will ask me why he didn't go to the doctor. He didn't have an access for doctor because the insurance plan will be starting after 15 days.
Mm-hmm. And then what
So
was
I said to
what was
him,
the quick question?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my question. The problem started on 1st of February when he stopped the Diametron. So his number went up to 11.
Yeah.
So basically, we had to bring it back, and now he's taking 1 full Diamicron and 1 Genument. My question is, what's going on? Why it's stubborn? And he's on keto, he's on intermittent fasting, but unfortunately, he's not doing OMAD anymore because he had to take like 1 pill morning, 1 pill afternoon.
Yeah.
So what's going on?
Well, this brings up a really good question with the amount of effort it takes to have someone even come off medication. If you've been on medication for a long time, and he's been up to like 11, which is very, very high sugar, people have this idea like, man, shouldn't it be like 3 months? It should be 3 months. I should be handled. Honestly, even if you're approaching the age of 40 or even like 38 like we are, your body sometimes could take some time. And this is like a really important point because I don't want to set you guys up for, oh, it's going to be a miracle, 3 months handled, you're going to be in shape and everything's going to be great. I'm going to give you just a realistic target for your husband and even people trying to get in shape. You really have to be thinking of years instead of months because especially if you spent so many years destroying the body or being in that state, it takes some serious time to undo it. So don't think it's going to be just a quick fix. Stick with it for I would have a goal of 3 years. 3 years to just work, do it healthy, and then evaluate from the beginning to end. You'll see, wow, it's as you get older, it's like it takes a lot longer. I would just keep hanging in there. And I think you probably got him off the medication too quick, so you have to just kind of gradually tweak it into the point where his body can adapt to it. But it does take time. It's frustrating. I wish it was longer. But that's what happens when you get over the age of 35, like ourselves. So thanks for your call. All right, Karen, it's time for a quiz question. Okay?
I'm so happy about that.
Yeah, we have a quiz for everyone.
I like the quizzes.
Okay, so we're on the topic now, Karen,
Yeah.
of kidney stones. Okay?
Sure.
And the most common kidney stone is the oxalate stone, calcium oxalate stone. All right? So there are certain foods high in oxalates, but what I want to narrow down is the nuts, okay?
The nuts.
You have different nuts with different levels of oxalates. So the question for everyone, what would be the top nut that has the lowest oxalate amounts? Don't look it up, just try to guess.
No googly.
Yeah.
Googly.
What is the nut that has the most oxalates, which has the least effect on kidney stones? Okay? Go ahead and type your answer.
I know this answer.
Yes, because I told you.
No, because I guessed it.
Oh, that's right. You just guessed it right. Okay, so go ahead and guess it, guys, and we're going to take a question from Christian from Canada. You've been waiting patiently for 40 minutes. Go ahead, Christian.
Hi, guys. Hello, Dr. Berg. Hi, Karen.
Hi.
I'm 43 years old. I got diagnosed with Kaposi sarcoma 1 month ago. I'm HIV negative. I've done the test. Everything is fine. I'm waiting for CT scan and so on. Since then, I'm on ketosis.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing fasting 12 to 16 hours. I'll start coffee animals. I'm trying to see how autophagy and boosting the immune system it will help me by taking, in the meantime, pancreatic enzymes, quercetin, vitamin D, vitamin C, coenzyme Q10, curcumin, mushrooms to boost my immune system. Plus, I do the Budwig protocol. You guys are so experienced. I'm against conventional things, chemo and so on. Can you give me some advice how to boost even better through keto fasting using these tricks?
So let me give you
Thank
some
you.
tips. I'll give you some tips for for cancer. There's a couple things. Low sugar. That's a carb. That's a keto, healthy carb. Do it healthily. Make sure the vegetables that you consume are cruciferous. Those have a lot of anti-cancer properties. So that would be very important on a regular basis. I would also make sure you do intermittent fasting a lot longer than you're going right now. One meal a day, that's what I would recommend. And do weekly prolonged fasting. So you're going like 48 hours. Just because even the lowering calorie effect and the fasting has huge benefits for healing and repair. And I think that would be good for your immune system. The other thing you want to do is you want to keep a very low stress life, because the problem with cancer is the fear, and it adds the stress and the cortisol and the adrenal. Do whatever you can to try to go for long walks and reduce your stress, your environment. Very, very, very important. Get more sleep. And but I think your best bet is to watch my video that when I interviewed Dr. Seyfried, and there's some great research being done on this, and to build up your immune system to try to fight this as best as possible and not feed it. Last thing I would mention is make sure the vitamins that you're taking they're not GMO. They're really high quality. Okay? Thanks for your question. Karen, what do we got as an answer?
Wow, we have everything except the answer. A lot of people saying macadamia, a lot of pecan, and a lot of almond.
Okay.
Which is interesting.
All right.
Drum roll.
Drum roll, please. And the answer is macadamia nuts.
Oh, it is?
Yes, that's number one. That's the least amount of oxalates, guys. So, and then the one that, if we go back up from there, pistachios have the second least.
Oh, well, hold on.
No, I told you. You have to remember, Karen. You have to remember.
Okay, so people did get it right.
Yes.
Good job on the macadamia nut.
Macadamia, pistachio, and then pecan.
Pecan.
And then walnut. Okay, the worst nut to eat if you're a stone former. You make stones.
Are you a stone former? Is that like a mason?
No, if you're just a hyper oxalate absorber or a stone former.
Get a lot of kidney stones, basically, is what he's saying.
What is it?
Almonds, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Almonds.
Yeah, almonds.
Number 2, cashews.
What about lug nuts? Those cannot be good for your kidney. I agree with you. Stay away from the lug nuts.
I want to give another tip, guys. So, because what happens when you eat these nuts, you have these oxalates that can absorb through the intestine and go into your blood and end up in the kidney. Okay, and I'm not talking for everyone. I'm talking for those people that are they're stone formers. They have a history of problems. So this is what you could do if you add some cheese, like goat's cheese or sheep cheese, because, and I'll talk about that in a little bit too. Why? To your nuts, what will happen? That calcium will bind with the oxalates, and it will no longer be absorbed.
So you can have spinach.
Well, spinach would be one of the highest vegetables.
The leafy one.
Yeah, spinach.
With cheese.
Spinach.
With goat cheese.
Right, because spinach has a very high amount of oxalates as well, and so do beet leaves. Beet leaves are really high. Unfortunately, rhubarb. I'm sorry, you can't do the rhubarb anymore.
Rhubarb pie.
Or
what if
salad.
you cook it?
Rhubarb
What if you cook
salad.
it? Does it change?
No, it doesn't cook it. No, but if you ferment it, you lower it.
You lower the lectins.
No, we're talking about oxalates.
I mean oxalates.
Yeah.
You lower the oxalates if you ferment it.
Yeah, fermented vegetables are really good for you. So oxalates. So we're going to be talking a lot more of that in future videos because it's a hot topic right now, Karen. It's a hot pocket right now.
Hot pocket. Hot topic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, guys, so I have some additional interesting information as we talk about this more. And I just wanted to mention one little thing. I forgot to mention this about oxalates, okay?
Yeah, and there's a good question here I want to add on about that.
Okay, Karen. Dark chocolate, unfortunately, is high in oxalates. So if you're going to do chocolate, you better take some cheese. Now, you can do calcium citrate.
How about
If you add
chocolate
calcium citrate.
cheesecake? Keto chocolate cheesecake. Yeah,
Oh,
now we're
see,
talking.
now you're talking. That makes sense. Okay, good. I didn't think about that.
But what about, someone asked, what about almond milk?
I don't know about almond milk, but unfortunately, I think if it's from an almond, yes. Unless you do imitation almond. No, just kidding. Imitation almond milk. No, we're not going to do that. These are some good questions.
They are. Everybody's got good questions today.
Sabrina, you're from Indiana. You had a question about LDL. Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Berg,
Sure.
for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
I've been keto and IF for 18 months. I'm off my blood pressure, thyroid, triglyceride, and acid reflux meds, and I've lost 45 pounds.
Wow.
Wow.
Yay, I feel great.
According to Dr.
my-
Oz, that would
my
have
blood-
nothing to do with the keto, right? Sorry, I had to.
That's right. My blood work is all good except for my LDL. It went up from when I started. It was 70, and now it's 151.
Mm-hmm.
My triglycerides are 103. My HDL is 52. My cholesterol is 224. So I went and had the NMR lipid profile
Yeah.
test
Yeah.
done, and I'm not real happy with it, and I don't know what to do. They're both high, the LDLP and the LDLC,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just wondering what to do to reverse it. I'm kind of discouraged, and the more I read about lowering it, the more confused I get.
Yeah.
And my LPIR score is 74,
What is
Mhm.
that?
which is insulin resistance. Everything on there is just about either above high normal or below low normal.
Okay.
Below low.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm discouraged.
So let's just talk about that. I'm going to try to make this a quick answer because it is a confusing topic. At our Keto Summit, which I hope you can show up, I have 2 cardiologists that are coming, and they're going to be talking about LDL and cholesterol. It's going to be fascinating. These are guys that really they're in it hardcore. Dr. Nadir, okay, which you should look up. Dr. Nadir, cardiologist, look up some of his videos because he talks about LDL extensively, and he's a really good person to learn from. Also, Dr. Brett Shearer is coming, and he's from I think San Diego, but he also does consulting. You may want to just consult a cardiologist. I mean, that would be hot, and you can get more data from these guys since they're on the medical side. You're going to find that the LDL for certain people, called hyper-responders, it does go up, but it's not as bad as you think. There's some additional data, but it is confusing because of they're throwing out all these huge words, and I don't want to give you any of those words. I just want to tell you some of the purposes of LDL. It's a boat that's carrying cholesterol and other things to help heal the tissues, to help repair the tissues. It's not just to, clog up your arteries. So especially if you're getting all these other good indicators and all these other good benefits, and then you have this one LDL, for right now, I'm just going to say watch both of those cardiologists, their videos, and get the data and come to the summit. And then I will put out some more videos on this just to kind of clarify, but it's kind of a longer answer that we can't get to. But thanks for your call. All right. Karen, are we ready for another question?
You mean from you?
No, from you.
Yes.
All right, good.
So here's another question about lipedema, aka saddlebags on the legs.
Okay.
Any suggestions to reduce the development of that?
Well, first of
I
all,
can talk about that too.
yeah. First of all,
I'll let you do it.
yeah, saddlebags. You'd be surprised that it's not just all fat. There is a lot of atrophy going on in the muscle, especially if you're getting close to 40, 50 years old, because when you go through menopause, you get a lot of atrophy where the muscles start losing tone, and it just all falls apart, and it happens to sag on the outside. So essential, consistent exercise with good recovery, low carb, high fat, moderate protein. Essential. Intermittent fasting, essential. But I think what a lot of people think when they start off is, I'm just doing a diet, it's not coming off. I'm losing the top part but not the bottom part. Well, you're going to have to do exercise for a period of time. If you have atrophy, which most women do over the age of 48, you're going to have to realize that it's going to take some time to rebuild those muscles and handle that situation. And I would, again, like I mentioned before, have a goal of like 3 years, not 3 months. It's not going to happen. Our bodies it takes time.
It takes time. You figure the amount of years that the body, I mean, you know, kids grow and you see bodies growing, and at a certain point, it may be in their 20s or, yeah, probably late 20s, you know, the body really begins to decline. It's no longer growing, it's decaying in a way, and you really have to work.
It's all about preventing the decay.
Right.
And the dying tissue.
And well, you know, it's happening anyway. I hate to say it, but the body is aging, right? What does that mean? It's aging, and you have to just work that much harder. I can say from people I know, I mean, you, especially women, right? Your mom, you're working, and there's all these other things that are more important, and you're not exercising or building your body on a daily basis. So diet is just one part of it, and it can take years to really reshape, but it definitely happens. It definitely can happen with regular exercise. And
yeah, and it does take years.
It does take years.
I guess the motto is age gracefully. I don't even know what that means, gracefully. Like,
I think aging gracefully is more of a state of mind than it is a physical thing.
Okay. I didn't know what that meant. Right after the next question, we're going to talk about autoimmune stuff. So you don't want to check out. You want to stay on this channel. Karen,
Okay.
We're going to go to Pam.
Okay, I'm going to find questions.
Okay.
Here.
Pam, are you there? From
Yes.
Illinois? Okay.
So far you've been batting 1,000 with me on my problems. So, real quickly, I'm 55 years old. I am on thyroid meds. I'm on keto and intermittent fasting with a 4-hour eating window. But I was on emulsified DIM and FEMME, F-E-M-M-E. I felt great, but I switched to your estrogen balance, and I'm taking 3 on an empty stomach in the morning, but I'm still getting cold, and then I get very warm. So what can I add to that to help that?
So what you need is a complete vitamin E complex, especially if you're kind of in that menopause and there's some hints of night sweats or hot flashes, whatever, and temperature issues. Really, you want to support the pituitary and hypothalamus with vitamin E. I would get something with tocotrienols and tocopherols, not just tocopherol. You want the natural complex. That's what I'd recommend. Okay? And then now we're going to talk about the autoimmune. Okay, so Karen.
Yeah.
I need your full attention here. So, so autoimmune. This is a situation, normally your immune system should have the ability to differentiate. What I mean by that is you have this army, this police force that shouldn't be attacking its own self, right?
Right.
So it's ability to differentiate between your own tissue and a foreign entity that's a pathogen, a virus, okay, or even a food that's bad for you. So with autoimmune, your body loses the tolerance for that. It can no longer differentiate, so it ends up attacking itself. So you basically have this situation where your body's making these immune things that are against self, antibodies, against self. And that creates a state of inflammation. And then that keeps you from healing. And you have a lot of different autoimmune conditions to almost every tissue and receptor and hormone and that you can possibly imagine through the body.
Doesn't sound good.
No. So there's a kind of a fairly new, but not really since I guess it's the 70s, kind of theories on what causes this, and I want to talk about, it's called molecular mimicry. Certain viruses and bacteria and even plants, as part of their survival mechanism, have developed ways to look like our own tissues so they can blend in and hide and be camouflaged and not get attacked. They're trying to run under the radar. So if you look at just the series of like proteins for like maybe a virus versus the thyroid tissue, they might have a section that's almost identical. So what happens now, your immune system has to now be really smart to identify like which is which. So it's not as simple as like, oh yeah, well just, do this or do that. It's when you have stress, when you have a weakened system because you have vitamin deficiencies, or you get older, it predisposes you, it makes you more susceptible to getting autoimmune because you have things that can speed up the process. For example, and this I want to bring up lectins in different foods. These are proteins that are like little things that irritate and cause damage to our lining in our gut. Your gut is about, if we just take someone's intestine and lay it out on a table, it's about the size of a tennis court, but it's only 1 cell thick. So as soon as you break through that and you get leaky gut, now you're right in the immune system, you're in the lymphatic system, and your immune system is like, attack. So when you start breaking the holes through there and certain proteins get through there, this is where you have a situation where your body starts attacking the wrong thing because it's similar, and it starts developing autoimmune to certain tissues. And now you're like in this situation. And by the way, as a side note, if you get pregnant, those mechanisms turn off. Autoimmune turn off, which is interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. So anyway.
So the solution is?
The solution is to,
get
if
pregnant.
you have an autoimmune problem, what you want to do is you want to try this experiment, okay? Just lower the foods that are high in lectins and see if you don't improve, okay? Because it takes a layer of stress off the immune system. And I want to just rattle off, and I'll do a video on this as well. It's actually already done. I just need to release it. But I'm going to rattle off some foods that are high in lectins so you can avoid them, okay? And you do your own research. But I think it's a really good, helpful tip to help people that have autoimmune. Actually, 1 out of every 13 people have an autoimmune condition. Yeah. Okay, so these are, and I'm not going to get into the unhealthy foods because you guys are already on keto and you're eating healthy. I'm talking about the ones that are so-called healthy, vegetables and things like that. Of course, the top of the list, wheat germ is actually very, very high in lectins. Wheat germ, gluten, but wheat germ, who would ever think, right? Corn is very high. Peanuts, cashews, soy, but these are the ones that you may not realize. Peas, sugar snap peas, legumes, green beans, chickpeas like in hummus.
I love green beans.
Soy, which we know about soy. Beans, lentil, pumpkin, sunflower seeds, chia, peanuts, cashews, potato.
So I have a question. Have they always been high in lectins? Or is it?
Yeah, they've always been high, but when you're younger, like you're basically, your system is strong enough to deal with these lectins. It's impossible to have a 100% free, lectin-free diet. We're just trying to decrease them right now because with certain people that have damage and they're susceptible to, if they have a weakened system, it can really aggravate autoimmune conditions, especially like RA and Hashimoto's and things like that, rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, then we have cucumber, especially the seeds of the cucumber. Anything with seed is like a problem. Zucchini, pumpkin, there goes the pumpkin pie. Eggplant. Now these are the nightshades. Eggplant, tomato, bell pepper, and then you have chili pepper. So if you were just to avoid these guys, you may, I know,
to avoid.
But here's the thing. It may give you the relief that you need to actually get through this because there's other vegetables that are low, and I will give that list out. In fact, I'm going to give a 1-page on this. I'm not done with the list. Avoid oats. Well, if you're on keto, you're not even doing this. Oats, wheat, quinoa, rice, corn, popcorn, which is corn.
Right.
Peanut oil, cottonseed oil, which is in so many things, sunflower oil, and canola.
So basically they're eating what?
Well, here's the thing.
Meat.
Yeah, this is why when you intermittent fasting, one of the benefits, you just eliminate boom, a lot of these triggers, and boom, you start feeling better. And I'm not saying this for everyone. I'm just saying for those people that have autoimmune, you should try to eliminate these and just see if you feel better.
Right.
You know, I'm not telling
It's
it's
just
going
a
to
test.
happen,
Just
but
see.
I'm just the messenger, suggesting something that you may want to try. And if your autoimmune disease goes into remission, don't mention my name.
It's no cure. We
Don't
don't
mention
cure
my name.
anything. Would
'Cause
never cure
I
anything.
I can get in trouble if I cure anything, so I
That's
stay
right.
away from the
Can
cure
get-
thing. I'm just trying to
the
focus
law
on your
will
health.
come-
It's
will come
illegal to
calling.
cure things in the state of Virginia.
It's illegal to cure things in most places. Now, I was going to say something that was so incredibly profound and important that everyone was just going to go, holy crap, this woman is amazing.
Oh.
And I completely forgot what I was going to say.
Okay.
But here's a question. My liver and spleen is enlarged, and I did keto for 2 months, and I got pain in my upper left side of my abdomen. Doctor suggested it's too much fat. Please suggest how to continue keto because I feel good other than that.
Well, the spleen is on the upper left-hand corner. So I don't know what you're eating. I think, you know, just an experiment. Just try to get your fats down to like 75 grams, like just lower and see if it doesn't handle it. The only thing that I'm thinking of is it's possible that maybe your pancreas is overworking. It doesn't have the enzymes to break down the fat, possibly. But, you know, I will say that, you know, when you do keto and people start doing a lot more butter and oil, certain people just haven't adapted to that yet. So they can't pump out enough bile and enzyme to break it down. So there's a point of your limitation. You just can't do unlimited fat. I need to go to David. David's been patiently waiting. Dave, are you there?
Yeah, it's me. How are you doing?
Good.
Me again.
Great. Welcome.
Hey, so thank you. I just need to talk to you. I'm at an assisted living facility, and then, you know, it's kind of tricky about how to managing food because they can only do what they're told what to do government-wise or what they could do. Anyways, for my I have been on keto, and I kind of got off of it a little bit for this week, and I want to get back. I need to get back on. But the thing is, I've been plateaued for 6 weeks now, and the only thing I can have food-wise is either 2 hamburger patties with cheese or a salad, and sometimes they can offer protein without carbs, and that's the only thing I could manage. So I was wondering what I could do to get back into ketosis and what I could do food-wise about still being on a ketogenic diet.
Okay. I think the easiest way to do this, Dave, and if you were a member of the membership site I have a new updated video that I put up there called Keto on Steroids Updated. You can go to that, and that will totally solve that problem. But in the meantime, if you're not a membership site, I do have an older version, which is not as great, but it's good. But it's called Keto on Steroids. Research that video, and I basically show you some strategies to speed things up if you're plateaued. Okay? Keto on Steroids. Look it up. Thanks, Dave. Hey, Susan, you're from Oregon. You had a question. Go ahead.
Good morning, Dr. Berg and Karen.
Good
And I
morning.
want to thank you so much for making this call-in show available to us. This is my 3rd call. I am 61. I've been doing keto and intermittent fasting for 20 months, OMAD some days. And I've got 2 questions. There is a hard mass or a lump or something at the base of my index finger and also at the first joint of my index finger. I wondered what to do about that. And also, as I lost weight with keto, shall we say, I've unearthed some wrinkles that were there. I'm like, oh no, wrinkles. What can we do about the wrinkles and the lumps on my hands?
Okay, so the lumps in the hand, I think that potentially could be trigger finger type things where you have these adhesions that build up. And the only thing I found on that was, is it related to insulin resistance? As far as therapy, I have not found anything that gets rid of them. Honestly, if they're painful, you can press on the opposite hand, exactly the mirror image, and press and massage. That will help. But you know, you may need to go to someone who specializes in that and see if they can't take out that scar tissue. But there's this little bundle of scar tissue that grows around the tendons on the hand. That's what it sounds like, and I've seen it a lot. I just have not found a solution to get rid of it. Okay. The next question is,
Wrinkles when you lose weight.
If you're doing healthy keto and you start losing weight, there's a couple things that you can do. Okay, number one, just make sure you're doing the healthy version of keto, which is very, very important because you don't want to do what's called dirty keto and do low quality foods. The other thing is I would increase a little bit more salt in the diet because you do lose salt and there could be almost like a dehydration type effect. The last thing I would recommend is to work the area of your body as far as the muscles go with exercise, vigorous exercise, walking to get more circulation. That's really what I would do for the collagen effect. And there's going to be more tips coming soon, but that's all I have for you right now, Susan, because we got to run. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for your call. And we wanted to say, guys, thanks for watching. We're excited to finally meet you at the summit because it's a mandatory meeting at the summit.
Mandatory meeting, roll call will occur.
Yeah, we're going to have a great time.
8:30 sharp on Saturday morning.
And I dropped the fee, so now everyone can come. So and from a normal fee, it was like $500, now it's down to $300. So
right. And we picked the weekend of the year that had the cheapest room rates.
Yep.
So, and you already have a day off. It's Labor Day weekend. Most people already have a day off.
Yeah, we got some awesome speakers.
Make a whole weekend of it. It's a gorgeous time of year in DC. And
we can't wait to meet you.
Yeah.
All right, guys, on that note, have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.